storage closets and all that. But if you go upstairs in the building, there's this big room, and it's got red shag carpet, man. It looks like 1970. It had these neon lights that went around all the way around the whole rim of the room, and they change colors all the time.
Nice.
And that room was kind of like the distribution center for Sam back in the day. He put all the product in there, all the physical copies and everything of the records and 45s and albums and everything. And you can see it in our video, The Son of a Prodigal Son, the single that we did off the record. We shot it at Sound Film Studio, part of it. And the other part of it we shot down on Bill Street, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But anyway, you kind of see that room, and then there's a third floor in the studio where all the offices were, and there's like where the secretary's desk was, the general manager, and then there's a bar. They built a bar up there, and it was decorated like the 50s, man. It was still there. It still had liquor in it. You could go over and get a little sip of something if you wanted to.
Wow.
And then straight ahead, when you walk up the stairs, is Sam's office, and the doors are closed. You can't take any pictures there. They do tours and stuff, and they won't let you in there. Well, the crazy thing is, during the recording of our album, we had done all the basic tracks, and I was going to go back and sing one weekend, and it had been on the books and everything, and I got a call. Jeff, our producer, called me and said, "Hey, man, there's this issue with the scheduling." He said, William Bell, who, I don't know if your listeners know who this guy is, but he was on Stax Records. He's a soul singer. He's probably about 70 or late 70s, early 80s. He's an icon, man. I'm not kidding. But he wanted to record at Soundfield Studio the day that I was going to be down there. And so I was like, what am I going to do, man? This guy's a legend. We love Stax and everything growing up in Memphis. And I was like, man, of course, I don't care. I said, just, put me in another room or put me in a closet. I don't care. And so they asked me, they were like, do you want to record in Nashville? There's tons of studios. There's other studios in Memphis. And I said, no, I want to do it in Sam Phillips. We've done the whole record there. I want to do my singing there. And so they said, okay, we'll figure it out. Well, man, I went down there, and I walked in, and they said, well, come here, we want to show you something. And I could hear William Bell in the other room, and it was like going to church, man. They had an organ player going and a guitar player, and he was singing and stuff, and it was just like a spiritual moment, man.
Oh, wow.
And so they said, well, come here, we want to show you something else. And we started up the stairs, man, and I thought they were taking me, and then you go up to the third floor. When I went on that third floor set of stairs and looked, Sam Phillips' office was open, and my freaking microphone was set up in there.
Wow.
And dude, it was crazy. I walked in, his desk was sitting there. It had a built-in jukebox, man. They said, you're looking at like what was the first iPod, man. This guy had all his singles in there, and he picked the phone up and sell songs, sell records all day. They said he'd call ahead and tell his assistant, his secretary, what record to have ready when he got to work so he could get on the phone and start working his albums. So it's sitting there, and then there's these leather white chairs, man. That red shag carpet was in there, and these red white chairs were sitting there, and each one of them had a big old huge ashtray next to it. Like, it looked like they used to smoke cigars in there, so it looked like they were getting ready to have a meeting.
Wow.
And there was a TV, big box TV in there, and it had a drawer on it that was pulled out, and it had a Roy Orbison 45 sitting on it. And so the whole time I was recording my record, I was turning around looking at this little 45 record, man. I mean, it was just so inspiring. It was so cool. And we did the whole record. We did it really fast. We did it about, I think, 9 days. We went in, we cut basic tracks, and did some guitar work, and I did some singing. But we did it really raw. We didn't do a ton of overdubs. We wanted it to sound like us. We just said, man, let's just do it like it would sound if you come out and see us live. Let's just kind of go raw and do it down and dirty. And it was just really fun. It was so inspiring. And Jeff was wonderful. The guy that was recording with us, he's a brother to us, man. I mean, we used to stay up all night in the studio with him listening to records, and he would work in the studio with us all day, and the rest of the people would leave. The studio would close, and the other producers would leave and everything. And he would have to stay with us in the studio. so that we didn't touch anything to erase the music that we had recorded. They're like, you can do anything you want to except hit that button over there, that red button, don't touch that. And so we would stay in there all night, man. We would drink and party and invite friends in, and we'd crank our record, our recordings up, and then we'd play music that, that we were listening to back then, whoever it was we were into at the time. But he would stay with us, and then some nights we would keep him in there until they showed back up for work the next day. We were still in there listening to music and talking and playing and partying, and he'd have to start work again with us there with him, And it was just funny. We told a bunch of crazy stories on each other, and it was just a great experience. I mean, he told us before we went in, he said, I'm going to make this, really super relaxed, because we looked at him and said, hey, man, we're not the little 20-year-old kid that was in the studio with you, a long time ago. We've kind of got some mileage,
Yeah.
And we just wanted to make sure we had a good representation of ourselves, and he did it. We just felt really comfortable, and we did it really fast, and that's kind of how we wanted to do it. We said, man, let's just do it and go in and nail this thing. And
wow.
but we did a ton of work before we went in. The guys in the band did a lot of rehearsals and stuff. They're really close to each other in Memphis, so they kind of worked the arrangements and stuff together. Once we had written the songs, the three of them had kind of got in the room and got everything kind of tightened up. And they just needed me to show up and know the words and be ready to rock when I came in for my final rehearsals and stuff. So.
Wow, what an experience, man. What a story. Wow.
It was just so cool, man. I'm telling you, I got goosebumps talking to you about it because we had just such a good time. For us to have been friends for as long as we've been, friends. Keith and Patrick, the bass player, guitar player, have known each other since they were about 8 years old. And Patrick and Keith and John and them, I met them when we were probably, 11th grade or something in high school. So we've been through all kind of crazy stuff, man. We've been on the highest highs and getting record deals and all that, and we've been walking through the dark valley together when the record deal was gone and everybody was trying to figure out what was going on. And
I read a story where you mentioned you were a senior in high school when TORA was happening, when all this was happening. Was this a pre-TORA, when like the school parties, or was this during when you got signed? Were the parties still going on, or?
It was as we were developing. I think I actually left high school my senior years of school to do stuff with Keith and them. We started getting to the point where we had won some competitions, some local competitions, and we won studio time, and we started doing some. We did a production deal with a studio, Ardent Studios in Memphis, and that's when everything kind of shifted because we kind of started getting serious. We were like, man, we might get in here and record some good material and put it out, and we kind of did a little EP on our own, and it had got on the radio. There was a local DJ named Malcolm Riker. He worked for a radio station in Memphis called Rock 98, and he did a locals only show, and it was awesome because the station geographically where Memphis is we're in the corner of the state, like the southwest corner of the state. So we're up against Arkansas and Mississippi and Alabama.
Okay.
And so he was broadcasting over all those areas. And so he got people on the radio from all those different areas. So he had a really good draw, of talent and different bands and all kind of stuff. And it got, it was competitive to get on there. He got submissions all the time. And we were really lucky because at the time, because we were in high school and stuff, Patrick and I had gone to a high school together, and then Keith and John and them had graduated from another high school in town. So we kind of had a built-in audience at our parties and stuff. When we first started playing, we kind of automatically had a built-in audience that would come out and support us because when a few kids from each place showed up and brought some of their friends, then it turned into like a bigger crowd, And so they started calling in the radio station and requesting our song, and we actually charted without a record deal.
Really?
They got us a regional, we got in like the top 5 or something on the radio station for requests and all that stuff. So this was kind of over a period of time, but that's kind of how it happened. That DJ played a huge part in us getting a record deal and building a following. He played us on the radio a lot, man. People recognized us, and we just owe him a debt of gratitude for giving us a break and putting us on the station. And, man, there was tons of bands, too, back then. There was a lot of activity in Memphis. We weren't the only band getting signed. I mean, there was a lot of producers, showcases, and record labels were coming there. The rock scene was pretty cool. It kind of overflowed out of the Sunset Strip kind of vibe. We were kind of feeling that over in the Memphis. But we got a thing called Bill Street. It's kind of a real touristy area of town, and it's a bunch of blues band stuff. It's the Fourth Avenue and Bill right there is kind of like the crossroads of the blues. It's where W.C. Handy, the trumpeter, came and played blues and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, we grew up playing there, and there was one venue down there that was about a 900-seat theater. They had taken all the seats out, so it was just a big old open room, but it kind of had the slanted, flooring like a theater does, and it had a stage in it. And we played there. There was a guy named Mike Glenn, who was the kind of the manager of the building, and he started promoting the local shows, man. He gave us a place to go. Like, underage kids really didn't have anywhere to go see music. You had to be 21 to get in all those blues bars and stuff down there. So he started doing all-ages shows in the Daisy. And Malcolm Riker, that DJ, started sponsoring a show down there once a week or something. And people from all over the Mid-South would drive in. Bands would come in from all over the place. And they had a local music store provide the back line. And you could jump out there and play, I think it was like 3 songs or 15 minutes. And then they'd pull the plug on you and put the next band up. But it was a great way for you to build an audience. People from all over the place came, and you could showcase yourself and, get some experience. We were all little kids, man. We didn't know what we were doing. The first time we played there, I don't even think I looked at the audience. I stared at my feet. I was so scared the whole time I was out there. But after playing there a few times, it got to where, we were running all over the stage and jumping out in the audience. And, I mean, it just, your confidence, the building would be full. It'd be packed full of kids, all about the same age. And they were just rowdy and wanted somewhere to go to listen to, some music. And they provided that for us. So Malcolm Riker, that DJ, and then that Mike Glenn guy, we still see him to this day. I still go down there and I bump into him every once in a while. And we tell him how much he came to our video shoot that we did for that Son of a Prodigal Son song, and we got to see him and talk to him. And we just owe him a lot. It was a lot of people that helped us, man, when we were little. We were trying to figure it out. We just loved playing and singing, and they were just kind of, mentor type guys that just said, hey, I see an opportunity here, man. I can make a ton of money. I remember us, once we were a little bit older and we still played there, we were breaking records on selling kegs and stuff. He would come in our dressing room and go, man, y'all broke a record tonight. We've never sold that much beer. And, he was happy. He was jumping around. We were having a ball. Everybody was making some money and having a good time. And it was just awesome. But you were kind of asking about the name of the record. That's where it came from, Bill Street in Memphis.
Oh, okay.
So it's really famous. It's the home of the blues. And we were kind of, super influenced by the blues. I'm from down in the Delta in Mississippi. I grew up my family listened to like Mississippi John Hurt. And we, of course, played gospel music. I grew up Southern Baptist and, went to church and all that kind of stuff growing up. My family did. And so we were influenced by gospel and blues and R&B. And, of course, the band, when I met them, it was real funny, man. I was kind of learning to sing and everything through my aunt. She was like probably my biggest influence. She taught me to play guitar, and she turned me on to some, things like some singer-songwriter type people. She was teaching me on acoustics. So it's like Neil Young, James Taylor, and all that kind of stuff. Well, then I got into some rock. She turned me on to some some Leonard Skinner and Foreigner and
nice.
I'm trying to think of there was a record she had one time the biggest all-time influence that she ever put on